Go for it.
My mother signed me up to audition for the Young People's Chorus of New York State when I was about 7 years old. I had no interest in singing, I was shy, and I wasn't really looking to be a part of any extracurriculars. She didn't tell me that she was going to sign me up for it, and of course, my mom being my mom, she told me about my audition the night before. She told me I was going to sing This Little Light of Mine. She didn't even let me choose my audition song, and I didn't have a choice. I had to be in the chorus. 2 days later, I was accepted to the chorus and started attending the rehearsals. I was going to rehearsals weekly and everything was fine. But it was weird for me because in school I had friends, I participated in class, I loved talking to the teacher, but at YPC it was the complete opposite. A few months went by and I still didn't have friends and I still had trouble reaching out. My mom would volunteer at our concerts and she would ask me why I wasn't sitting with anyone. I told her that I didn't have friends and that I wasn't comfortable with just approaching people. She would say things like, just talk to them, they won't fight you, like that would help in any way. Everyone around me already had their little cliques and friend groups, and I was just by myself. There are about 5 divisions in YPC, with each group having about 70 to 90 choristers. And since I wasn't as outgoing, I wasn't seen by the director. There would be some concerts where only a certain number of people were allowed to perform and I never got invited. There was this one concert where the selected choristers got to perform at Carnegie Hall to commemorate the Japanese tsunami in 2011. I was really upset that I didn't get to be in this performance. It made me sad that as a 3rd grader, I wasn't good enough for the special performances and they didn't want me on stage. And sometimes YPC had overnight trips and I didn't want to go on them because I was afraid of talking to anyone the whole trip, even though the trips were made for bonding time. And when everyone came back from the trip, suddenly everyone was friends with everyone and I had missed out. A couple years went on in the chorus and I moved on to the higher divisions in the chorus and I still felt the same way. I wanted to quit after about 4 years of being in the chorus, but my mom wouldn't let me. I was only enjoying it because it helped me take my mind off of school and my family, and I also did like the idea of performing in famous venues and meeting famous people. I eventually developed a liking for singing, performing, and music history, but it wasn't enough for me to go to every single rehearsal. What was the point if I wasn't going to talk or be noticed by anyone in those 2 hours of rehearsing? In middle school, I started skipping rehearsals and going to my friend's house without my mom knowing, and that didn't help me in the chorus either. I missed out on choreography, songs, and all the information that I needed to know for the future performances. And it also affected my concert invitations. My director eventually started to notice that I was focused and that I was capable of doing the work, but because of my attendance, it wasn't fair to invite me over those who regularly attended rehearsals. In the summer of 2018, YPC went on a trip to Barcelona to compete in a choral competition. I didn't get invited. People who were in the chorus for a shorter amount of time than me got invited, which kind of angered me. This was when I realized that if I wanted to get invited to things, I had to try a little harder. I wanted to graduate on a good note with friends and memorable times just like everyone else. When they returned to New York from Spain, I had learned that they won first place in some of the categories. I also learned that a lot of the other things went on tour, from hookups to parties and other drama. I had missed out on a lot. Everyone was a lot closer to each other and they had all their inside jokes and stories from the trip. And the older kids sometimes hosted house parties to celebrate the win of the group. Later on in the fall, YPC called and invited me to do a 3-night performance with a special guest composer. They had told me that it was going to be a small group of 21 choristers instead of the full choir of about 80 people. I was shocked and I was excited to hear that I got invited to do this event. And all the other choristers that got invited were the favorites in the choir. I thought about it and I made a reasonable assumption that they only invited me because I didn't go on the tour this summer. I had also been in the choir longer than most of the other people. The show was a pretty big deal, and it was the focused event of the fall, and since it was a big deal for the chorus, it made it a big deal for me. Since we were working with a smaller group, it was easier for my directors to point us out. It was easier for all of us to be seen. Because we were working in a smaller group, I eventually started talking to people in my chorus. We saw each other almost every day for over 6 hours daily to rehearse. And I enjoyed coming to rehearsal, and I felt like I belonged in the chorus for the first time. Every day I looked forward to singing, dancing with my friends, and then having lunch breaks with them. For one of the songs in this performance, there was a duet with a boy and a girl. My director, Elizabeth, told me that she wanted to hear me sing and that I should audition for the part. I wasn't going to at first, but I ended up trying out anyway. After auditioning, Elizabeth, my director, had told me that I sounded great and that she was happy to hear me sing. She was really glad to see that I finally branched out. I didn't get the part, but I was still happy to try out and hear the feedback that I got. That small audition changed the rest of my time in that chorus. I got selected to do desk hands, small groups, and solos in all of our other performances. I got invited to do the events with select people, and I even got invited to go on tours to compete with the chorus. I made so many new friends and connections with everyone in the chorus because of this performance, and it felt like I was important to the group as a whole. In the summer of 2019, I went to the Dominican Republic with my chorus to do a tour, and it will forever be one of my favorite high school moments and my favorite summer. I got to experience all those things that I was hearing about from the Spain tour, and I was ecstatic. I felt so comfortable with everyone on the tour, and it really felt like I belonged. When we weren't performing, we spent most of our days bonding and just having fun on the beach and at the resort. And I finally got to experience the YPC culture that everyone had been talking about. This past summer, I graduated from the chorus after 11 years of singing with some of my favorite people. And we performed in some of the most famous venues in the city and all around the world. With YPC, I've performed and competed in so many other places around the world, just like the Dominican Republic. And last summer, we were supposed to go to the World Choir Games in Belgium, but for obvious reasons, we weren't able to. But I can't imagine how fun of an experience that would have been for us. I've met a few different celebrities through YPC, but besides the fun of meeting these people and traveling around the world with your friends, through YPC, I've learned the power and importance of using my voice artistically and just in general. I went from skipping and avoiding rehearsals to coming in when I didn't need to volunteer and help the younger kids. To this day, most of my best memories and closest friends are from YPC. The choir is the reason why I advocate the importance of music education and why I want to continue having music as an outlet. So thanks, Mom, for that unwanted audition 11 years ago.